With Major League Baseball's trade deadline rapidly approaching, no team finds itself in a more unenviable spot than the Los Angeles Angels. Their season is swiftly heading down the toilet, surprise surprise, and with two-way sensation Shohei Ohtani just months away from free agency, rumblings about a potential blockbuster trade have grown louder and louder. At this point, however, this shouldn't even be up for debate. The Angels absolutely must trade Ohtani ahead of this year's deadline. If they don't, they're committing malpractice, a mistake that'll only guarantee that the Angels remain a pathetic afterthought for years to come. So here we are once again. It's mid-July, and the unrelentingly mediocre Angels are on pace for an 8th straight losing season, mired in 4th place in the American League West, and are on the outside looking in at a wildcard spot. Who could have seen this coming other than everybody? Hell, at this time last year, I was already imploring the Angels to trade Ohtani because A, the Angels' chances of turning it around and contending for a World Series title in 2023 were slim to none, and B, because they would have commanded an astronomical return for the two-way superstar who still had a year and a half of team control remaining before free agency. Obviously, they didn't listen to me, and look at them now. Their record stands at 45-46 after losing 9 of 10 to close out the season's unofficial first half, and their playoff odds sit at a measly 11% according to Fangraphs. They're 7 games back of their division and 5 games back of the third wildcard spot, and they'll likely play out the majority of the stretch run without Mike Trout, who recently underwent surgery on his fractured left wrist and could be out anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And Trout, by the way, is just one of several key players currently sidelined. Brandon Drury, Gio Urshela, Logan O'Hoppe, they're all on the injured list too. Long story short, the Angels' chances of sneaking into the playoffs are incredibly slim. Their chances of winning a World Series are virtually non-existent. And they're now 3 months away from potentially losing Ohtani in free agency for next to nothing. So, trading Ohtani ahead of the August 1st deadline would seem to be an all-time no-brainer, and yet there's no guarantee that the Angels move him. As MLB.com's John Morosi reported at the outset of the second half, many in the industry still view a trade as unlikely. But while I appreciate that this is not an easy move to make, holding on to Ohtani through this year's deadline would be a grievous mistake by the Angels, a spectacular failure of asset management that would only further dampen the club's already bleak future. Look, I feel for Angels GM Perry Manassian. Ohtani is the most sensational player the game has ever seen, he puts butts in seats, and Los Angeles is only 5 games back of a playoff spot. But the Angels can't afford to pass up this unique opportunity to replenish their organization with some young talent, all for the sake of, best case scenario, a wildcard berth and an early postseason exit. It's imperative, frankly, that the Angels turn Ohtani into some long-term value because few clubs have less impact talent on the way than Los Angeles. According to MLB Pipeline, the Angels had the 28th ranked farm system in Major League Baseball coming into the 2023 campaign. And that actually represented improvement from their midseason ranking in 2022. Given how destitute their organization is, it's hard to see them surrounding Trout with a serviceable supporting cast before he ages well out of his prime. That doesn't have to be the case though. Just because the Trout and Ohtani era was a failure doesn't mean that the next era of Angels baseball has to be. And if the Angels have the strength to make the most unpopular decision they'll ever make, Ohtani, as a trade chip, represents an opportunity for them to meaningfully reshape their future. Yes, it's true that rentals don't command as much as they used to on the trade market, but this is Shohei Ohtani we're talking about. He leads the majors in home runs, OPS, and weighted runs created plus. He's got a chance to win the American League Triple Crown, and he's also pitched more than 100 innings with a lower ERA than Spencer Strider and the lowest opponent's batting average among qualified starters. He's Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole all wrapped into one, and you can bet that every legitimate contender is contemplating at this very moment potential trade packages to offer the Angels. What might those trade packages look like? Well, it's hard to say. Ohtani is an unprecedented player. But we can confidently say that he won't command a return quite like Juan Soto, who landed the Washington Nationals 2 highly touted young big leaguers, 2 consensus top 50 prospects, and another lottery ticket prospect in last summer's blockbuster with the San Diego Padres. That's because Soto at the time had 2.5 years of control left before free agency, whereas Ohtani is only a half season away from hitting the market. Still, given Ohtani's unparalleled value, it's not unreasonable to think that the Angels would use that deal as a reference point. And there are multiple contenders with robust farm systems that should be open to a trade shaped by that framework. The AL West leading Texas Rangers, for instance, have one of the best farm systems in baseball, as do the NL West leading Los Angeles Dodgers. Teams in their position would be remiss not to go hard for Ohtani, a once-in-a-lifetime player who can single-handedly swing a pennant race. And on the flip side, the Angels would be remiss not to pull the trigger if they get an offer they like. Besides, it's not like the Angels can't trade Ohtani ahead of the deadline and still re-sign him in free agency this coming winter. Artie Moreno is one of baseball's richer owners after all, and he's been consistently willing to run high payrolls and sign marquee free agents, from Albert Pujols to Anthony Rendon. There's no reason the Angels can't outbid the Dodgers or the Yankees and be the team that signs Ohtani to the biggest contract in baseball history, a deal that could reach or even exceed $600 million. And I promise you, if Ohtani is even the least bit miffed about being traded, or generally disenchanted about the Angels' lack of success, a $600 million contract offer would make those negative feelings and apprehensions disappear real quick. Let's be real though, it's highly likely that Ohtani's tenure in Anaheim is coming to an end. And losing this generational talent for nothing more than a compensatory draft pick would be catastrophic, an outcome that even an improbable 2023 playoff appearance couldn't justify. The Angels had their chance to turn Trout and Ohtani's greatness into glory, and they failed. And if they choose to delay the inevitable now, their future will likely be defined by failure too. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.